If you are single, tap into today's episode. Right now, in the dating field and just in general in the dating pool, a lot of times we make decisions based on what feels good or how people look. But today, let's get into godly attributes for your future spouse. This is going to make things so much clearer and it's going to cut down on going back and forth on if somebody is a viable prospect. And by a viable spouse, I mean someone that's not going to cause you to compromise or settle on what's available to you as a spouse, somebody that aligns with you, somebody that brings you complete blessing and no sorrow, because we don't want that over here. I'm sure so many of us can testify to having dated people or been involved with people where you thought it was going to work out or you thought you could change them. You thought that they would step up to the plate, or you just figured, you know what, God, I'm tired of waiting on you. I'm going to see what I can do. And yeah, it don't work out. So let's get into it. So we'll start with a godly husband, the godly attributes of a husband. First things first, we hear this so often that a man is a provider, but this is actually biblical. A man that provides for the family and is not lazy. We find that in First Timothy 5 and 8, it says, "But if anyone does not provide for his relatives, and especially for members of his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever." So it's critical that we find someone who will provide for the household, who will do what is necessary. Now, a provider may not be a six-figure man. A provider can be someone that does what needs to be done around the household. And truthfully, not everybody is going to receive a six-figure high value man, which, to be honest, I hate that terminology because there are so many stereotypes that come with a high value man. But anywho, you want somebody that will do what is necessary to provide emotionally, financially, spiritually, to really be a provider in the household. I have found that keeping these things in mind makes it very quick and easy to weed people out. And I don't be feeling bad about it because society is so good for telling you that, oh, don't miss out on a good man because da 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 da. But I'm going to tell you, like someone told me, if God didn't say that you can't have it, it really doesn't matter what people are saying that you can't have. Um, Stick to your standards. And if that's what you desire, God is able, period. Number two, he loves like Christ. He's selfless and his love is sacrificial. Ephesians 5:25 tells us, "Husbands, love your wives, just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her." A man of God who loves the way Christ does is not selfish, he's selfless. He shows up in a way where his actions speak for him. His love is sacrificial. And to me, that means that you don't love the way we see people loving in the world, where today you love this person, but then they tick you off, and it's like, oh, okay, I can't do nothing else for you. Love is out the window. That's not the kind of love that God is calling husbands to love his daughters, period. And we're going to get to wifely attributes, so don't worry. Also, when I think of sacrificial love, I think of someone who is willing to put away their own selfish desires to consider mine. And in return, I'm going to consider theirs. So we both end up considering one another. Everybody's needs are getting met. This is not to say your stuff just doesn't matter. How you feel, what you need just doesn't matter. That is not what this is. Number three, he is not a liar or a deceiver. John 8:44 tells us, "You are of your father, the devil, and your will is to do your father's desires." He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in the truth because there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks out of his own character, for he is a liar and the father of lies. So here We obviously see that it is a godly quality, a godly attribute to be honest with people, to not deceive people. And somebody that operates in a place of confusion, soothsaying, telling you things that you want to hear, but is not truthful, that's deceptive. That's not a godly quality. And something that we can expect in a godly spouse is somebody that gives us the truth. They're vulnerable, they show up in truth, and if they say they're going to do something, they do it. They're a man, a person of their word. Number 4, he's led by God. When I think about being led by God, I also think about to God. That's because in 1 Corinthians 11:3 it says, "But I want you to understand that the head of every man is Christ. The head of a wife is her husband, and the head of Christ is God." So, as we've seen in society, submission is a huge topic in the dating community, just in general. And women are expected to be submissive, as we should. But when we think about what we're submitting to a man of God who is led by God, because God is the head. And if you're not led by God, then who's leading you? And if you're expecting me to be led by you, I need to make sure that you're being led by God. Period. This reminds us that there is a chain of command. There is Christ, there's the husband, there's the wife, and God is the ultimate head. God is the head of Christ. God's leadership flows through Christ, and the husband mirrors that Christ-like leadership in marriage. The fifth and final attribute for a husband is someone that learns you. 1 Peter 3:7 says, "Likewise, husbands, live with your wives in an understanding way. Show honor to the woman as the weaker vessel." This verse shows us that it's important to understand your wife, to learn her. The way that you come about understanding somebody is spending time with them, learning them, loving them. And I would even go as far as to say, as ask God to help you learn them and love them, because God made us. He knows us. He knows what makes us tick. He knows what's, is going to set us off. Now let's get into the godly attributes of a wife. A godly wife is a blessing to her husband all her days. According to Proverbs 31:11-12, it reads, "Her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life." So this quickly dispels all the city girl mindset and behavioral patterns that you want to be a blessing to this man. You want to be his help, be good to him all the days of his life, and not to do him evil, not to do him harm, not to be petty, not to be toxic, because that's not what God is calling us to. Number 2, the godly wife wins over her husband with her actions, not words. So as women, we know when we get fired up or when somebody ticks us off, it's easy to go off. But this verse is reminding us that it's profitable to impact and influence your spouse with your actions and not your words. So how you show up matters. So this verse reminds us that our actions as wives are so powerful, so influential, so impactful. So be strategic, be wise in the way that you're showing up in your marriage, in your future marriage, and just in relationships in general. Number 3, she's peaceful and she is not quarrelsome. Proverbs 21:19 says, "Better to live in a desert than with a quarrelsome and nagging wife." So a godly woman is somebody that brings peace to the home. She amplifies peace in his life. She's not quarrelsome and arguing, enjoying toxic behavior. She's not getting a thrill out of being nasty. And also, when we think about this, that means that she's communicating, because if you want to avoid arguments, if you want to avoid quarreling with someone, that means your communication has to be up to par. And you have to be willing to listen and hear, not just to respond, but to understand. Number 4, she is a multiplier. She's productive. Proverbs 31:16-18 describes a wife who considers a field and buys it. She works diligently and her lamp does not go out at night. So I'm sure most of us have heard the saying that talks about how if you give a woman groceries, she'll give you a meal, and this is the essence of multiplication. So a woman is productive with the right man. She's producing fruit. She's producing the assignment and the work of God. She's multiplying it. She's taking what God has already given her and expanding it, causing it to grow, causing it to take on the full capacity of the vision. Number 5, she is a crown to her husband. Proverbs 12:4 tells us, a wife of noble character is her husband's crown. A disgraceful wife is like decay in his bones. When we think about a wife being her husband's crown, think about a crown. A crown is glorious. It's beautiful to look at. It has value. And more than likely, it's sitting on someone's head for a purpose, not just because it looks good or it's an honor to wear. So a woman of God, a godly wife is a treasure. And when we think about a crown is full of treasure. There are jewels in the crown, and a noble wife, a wife that has good character, godly character, integrable character, is her husband's crown. And I believe that this verse is also hinting at how this kind of wife stirs up life, abounds in life, and she doesn't cause her husband to decay in his overall being. She's pleasant to be around. She brings life into the space. This further piggybacks off of not being quarrelsome. I mean, because God literally said it's better to be in the desert than to be arguing, going back and forth with somebody. Just let that sink in. And lastly, number 6, a godly wife is a helper. According to Genesis 2:18, it reads, the Lord God said, it is not good for the man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him. A wife is a helper. There are things that a wife will help her husband to do that he cannot do on his own. That is why God calls us a helper. So when we come into a man's life, especially as a wife, you are there to help him to accomplish purpose, help him to work in the will of God, help him to be better than he is as a single man. Now, I'm not saying come in and be Dr. Saver, you know what, but I am saying that you should come in and enhance his life. You should be a blessing, just as he will be a blessing to you. Marriage is about alignment. So when we find somebody that aligns with these attributes, that aligns with godly character, we can produce fruitful, blessing, victorious, joyful, prosperous marriages that don't lead to heartache and divorce. So I pray that this encouraged you, and stay tuned, because coming up, I will be releasing a prayer to break soul ties and to pray for your future spouse. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Now let's continue to do life practically and with purpose. See y'all next time.